This one T makes sense until the moment you need it, and maybe that moment is now. Have you ever felt caught between questions that seem too ancient to answer, as if something inside you longs to understand the roots of thought itself? If you're here, something in you is already shifting toward the timeless. Today, we are not simply recalling names or dates. We are stepping quietly into the world of the three great Greek philosophers: Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, the thinkers who planted the seeds of Western philosophy, shaping the contours of how we ask questions, seek truth, and live meaningfully. SFX, soft_chime. 3I1T tell you what to do. I'll help you see what is already happening inside you. These thinkers weren't just academics. They were seekers wrestling with life's deepest dilemmas: justice, knowledge, reality, and virtue. Each offers us a different pathway, a unique mirror reflecting not only ancient wisdom, but our own inner complexities. Let us begin with Socrates, the humble gadfly of Athens. Imagine a man walking the dusty streets, asking questions not to show off his knowledge, but to uncover the truth hidden beneath everyday assumptions. Socrates was famously unwise, or so he claimed, but his wisdom lay in his recognition of ignorance. He taught us that acknowledging what we do not know is the first step toward real knowledge. Isn't that a radical idea? To be wise is not to have all the answers, but to accept that we always live in questions. Consider for a moment, what if your most persistent doubts, your restless questioning, are not obstacles, but signs of a deeper awareness? Socrates' method was asking probing questions, gently unraveling the webs of conformity, forcing others to confront their ideas. What if you approach your inner conflicts the same way? Not judging, not rushing to conclusions, but patiently exploring through questions? SFX, come_water. For he believed that a life unexamined is not worth living. Have you ever paused to look at your beliefs, your habits, your motives, and asked if they truly serve you? Socrates challenges us to become critical observers of ourselves. His bravery was not in fighting battles, but in standing firm to discomfort, inviting rupture so that growth might begin. Now, let us turn to Plato, Socrates' student, who took those street conversations and forged a new philosophy, a world of forms and ideals. Plato saw a realm beyond the shadows of our daily experience, where perfect and timeless truths exist. You might recognize this in his famous allegory of the cave prisoners chained to see only shadows on the wall, mistaking appearances for reality. If you're struggling with confusion or feeling trapped by your circumstances, think of that cave. What shadows are you mistaking for real? What light are you hesitating to step into? Plato did not say the cave is a prison to despair, but a starting place for awakening. His philosophy invites us to climb toward clarity, to seek what is unchanging behind the illusions of hardship or self-doubt. He believed true knowledge is recollection that beyond your current turmoil lies an eternal truth, waiting quietly to be remembered. SFX, breeze and relieves. 3. What if your soul already holds that truth and your task is simply to peel away the distractions? Plato's idealism can feel distant or abstract, but it whispers a profound message. You are being shaped by lofty possibilities, not just by your wounds or fears. Then comes Aristotle, Plato's pupil, who grounded philosophy back into the world of experience. Aristotle wanted to understand the principles behind everything from biology to ethics, from politics to art. He emphasized observation, categorization, and the notion of virtue as a practical habit. Aristotle invited us to consider that knowing something isn't just about thinking, but about living it. He introduced the idea of the golden mean, the balance between extremes. Courage, for example, is not recklessness nor cowardice, but the virtue nestled in between. Think now about your life. Were you tipping too far in one direction? Where could you find that subtle middle path, the one that feels right and sustainable? Aristotle offered a philosophy of flourishing eudaimonia, often translated as happiness, but more precisely, the fulfillment of your potential. What if your struggle isn't a failure, but an invitation to cultivate your virtues with patience, to become who you are meant to be through mindful practice? SFX, soft_heartbeat. 3. Interestingly, these three thinkers form a conversation across time. Socrates ignites the fire of questioning. Plato lifts us beyond the immediate to the realm of ideals and soul. Aristotle grounds us back into the intricate dance of living well, balancing. What if your own inner conflict mirrors their dialogue? Your doubts, your search for meaning, the balance you seek emotionally and ethically? Philosophy is often portrayed as a dusty book or dry doctrine. But it is a living conversation, a companion in moments of silence, confusion, and change. If you felt lost or overwhelmed by internal questions, consider what Socrates might ask you next. What do you really know about yourself? Where does your certainty slip into dogma? Then listen to Plato's gentle pull toward the light, not to escape reality, but to understand it within deeper context. Finally, hear Aristotle's steady voice, encouraging not just reflection, but action, cultivation of the good in your daily life. SFX, distant_thunder. 2. They show us that philosophy is not a luxury reserved for scholars. It is a daily practice, a way of becoming more awake in the face of uncertainty. Each idea is a tool, a torch to illuminate shadows, to reconcile tension between who you are and who you might become. Remember, these thinkers did not write for us to idolize them, but to engage with their questions, to inhabit their discomfort, and through that, to find our own path. So, what if your struggles, your confusion, your longing for clarity aren't signs of failure, but indicators that you are exactly where meaningful transformation begins? SFX, wind_bell. For perhaps the next step is simply to welcome the question, to dwell with it compassionately, like Socrates walking Athens, like Plato contemplating the unseen world of forms, like Aristotle carefully observing life's details without rushing to judgment. In that quiet willingness to question, to explore, to balance, lies the beginning of a profound inner shift. Are you ready to meet yourself there? Let us deepen our journey into these extraordinary minds by exploring how their ideas touch the very core of how we understand ourselves today. If you're feeling restless in your identity, or caught in cycles of repeating patterns you don't fully grasp, their teachings offer more than historical curiosity. They provide a mirror to your inner world, a guide through confusion toward insight. Socrates' relentless questioning wasn't just an abstract game. It was a means to dismantle false security. Think about your own beliefs. How many are inherited, repeated without examination, or held because they provide comfort? What if the courage to admit, "I don't know," is the doorway to a more authentic life? Socrates invites us to embrace uncertainty not as a void, but as fertile ground where truth can sprout. What if your discomfort with ambiguity is precisely where growth begins? SFX, soft_wind. 3. Plato's vision of transcendent forms might seem distant from daily life, but consider this. Whenever you strive for ideals, justice, love, beauty, goodness, where is that striving rooted? Plato suggests it's a memory, a yearning for something real and unchanging that lies beneath the shifting surfaces of experience. When you feel that pull toward what's just or meaningful, perhaps you are touching something eternal. What if those ideals aren't unreachable fantasies, but signals from your deepest self? Plato's allegory isn't a condemnation of the world, but an invitation. Turn your gaze from the shadows, seek the light, and remember who you are beyond circumstance. Have you ever sensed this longing beneath your frustrations or confusion? It might be the spark of your truest self calling you home. SFX, leaves underscore rustling. For Aristotle's philosophy draws us back into the embodied, lived experience. He reminds us that wisdom is practical. Who we are is shaped by everyday habits, choices, and intentions. The question, what kind of person do I want to be, becomes vital. Aristotle doesn't separate thought from action. He sees virtue as something you cultivate through repeated practice. This means your small daily decisions ripple out to shape your character. Imagine your life as a garden. What seeds are you planting? Patience, kindness, courage? Which weeds, anger, envy, fear are you allowing to grow unchallenged? Aristotle's golden mean doesn't insist on perfection, but balance, a dynamic dance between extremes. Could your unrest be a sign, urging you to find that middle path? SFX, gentle underscore stream underscore flowing, three together. These philosophers create a framework for transformation that moves from questioning, Socrates, to vision, Plato, to practice, Aristotle. They don't hand you answers, but rather a compass for navigating the terrain of your inner life. What if the greatest wisdom they offer is this? Your inner world, with all its doubts, desires, and dilemmas, is itself a microcosm of the quest for truth and virtue. Your personal story, as tangled or beautiful as it is, echoes the ancient human search. Consider this. When Socrates questioned his fellow Athenians, it often made them uncomfortable. Yet discomfort was necessary. It was a sign that their assumptions were being challenged, that genuine insight might emerge. When Plato charted the world of forms, he gave voice to a hope that reality is more than what meets the eye. And Aristotle, by turning philosophy into a tool for everyday life, demonstrated that the journey toward excellence happens not in grand gestures, but in moments of intention and balance. SFX, distant interferotion underscore waves, for as you reflect on these thinkers, listen for the threads that resonate with your own experience. Perhaps there's a part of you that feels called to question everything like Socrates, to search for deeper meaning like Plato, or to cultivate goodness in daily actions like Aristotle. These are not separate paths, but complementary dimensions of a fulfilled life, and their dialogue continues inside you, shifting as you move through your own questions, doubts, and moments of clarity. So, next time uncertainty arises, instead of resisting or fearing it, try sitting with it as Socrates did. Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What assumptions can I release? Then, allow Plato's vision of the ideal to inspire you not as a rigid standard, but as a guiding light, a gentle pull toward your highest self. Finally, embody Aristotle's wisdom. Take small, intentional steps to live your values, practicing virtues that bring harmony and balance to your life's rhythm. SFX, soft underscoreable underscoring, 3 philosophy in its truest sense, is less about solving riddles than about learning to live with the mysteries of existence. The great Greek thinkers didn't leave us a finished product, but an invitation to be co-creators of meaning. Where might this invitation lead you? Will you journey with their questions, linger with their insights, and create your own map through the unexplored territories of your soul? Remember, seeking is itself an art, an expression of life's unfolding. And in that seeking, you find not only answers, but the courage to live more deeply, more freely, more truly. SFX, nature underscore ambience underscore fade out. 5, the wisdom of Socrates, Plato. And Aristotle lives on not in dusty manuscripts, but in the questions they awaken inside you now and always.